Welcome to the Downer Difference, the podcast where we explore the stories and the people behind Downer's success. Through our discussions, we'll uncover how our high-performance culture drives outcomes, how we deliver for our customers, and support each other to enable communities to thrive. My name is Mary Donohoe, and I'm here in the studio with my co-host, Hélène Thury.
The title of our episode today is Fueling New Energy in a Complex Landscape. And we'll welcome Christian Douglas, Future Energy Architecture Lead.
Welcome to today's Downer Difference podcast. I'm joined in the studio with Christian Douglas and Hélène Thury, my co-host. Christian, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your graduate engineering career at Downer.
So I started with Downer in 2018 as a graduate engineer. I actually started in the rail division, which is now turned into rail and transit systems. So I was involved in the graduate program at that time. So we were rotating through that business and other parts of Downer over 2 years. So I rotated seemingly all around the east coast of Australia. I rotated through Sydney in the data and digital team, doing what at the time was Train DNA, which is now morphed into XDNA, which was pretty cool to see that from the beginning. Then I did 6 months up in Maryborough in Queensland, at the rail heavy maintenance facility up there. Got to see a lot of cool stuff up there, do a lot of cool stuff. And then I was in Major Bids for a while, doing various bids for major infrastructure. Then after that, I came down to Melbourne to do HCMT, so high capacity metro train. Did that for a while, doing QA with them, which was pretty cool. And then I sort of came full circle and went back into the data and digital team as a maintenance strategy engineer, was my title back then. And I was optimizing heavy maintenance.
It seems you had a lot of careers already in 6 or 7 years at Downer.
Yeah. So it was a good opportunity to rotate through and gain quite a lot of experience quite quickly. It was a very intense process. So when you weren't working or rotating or stuff like that, you were in training. So it was pretty full on 2 years of just going utterly ballistic. And then the expectation was that when you finished that program that you would hit the ground running and go do stuff in the business, which I like to think I did. We were optimizing their heavy maintenance to streamline and ultimately remove a lot of maintenance that wasn't really providing value, so that the business would get pretty significant savings. So we achieved that. While I was doing that, I was doing a bit of BD stuff with them, and then I got wrapped up in a project, early stages with Queensland Rail to create a hydrogen train. But ultimately that project fell over due to various reasons. And I was working alongside with what was Asset Services then, which is now Energy and Utilities. And they said, we really like this whole net zero stuff. Would you like to do that full time over with us? And I said, sure. And then I jumped across into that role, which is the role I'm in now, which is the Architecture Solutions role.
Future Energy Architecture?
You're correct. Yeah.
This sounds quite complex, right? So what is it about?
Essentially, we are a task-focused group, and our job is to hunt out, eliminate our customers' emissions and also Downer's emissions. So
big ambition.
Correct.
Yeah, cool.
Using our, whatever tools are at our disposal.
So how does it work? Is it like a puzzle type of thing? Or?
It is a puzzle.
Oh.
Good segue. When we first started, my boss, Aaron Wiley, really good bloke, we sort of couldn't really answer when people said, oh, what does your business unit do? it's very difficult to sort of explain that in a way that would make sense
to most people.
Yeah. So we basically put together a graphic and explained it in a very graphical way, which is a puzzle, and all the puzzle pieces are essentially both a capability of Downer and also a tool that you would need to
Decarbonize.
Decarbonize, correct.
Got it.
And so we were sort of, it's gone through, I think, probably 50 iterations,
Wow.
which is expected
To continue?
Yeah,
of course.
That it was never to remain a static thing, because this field evolves so fast. So it's basically our way of explaining what we do, and also our methodology is sort of figuring out what each organization's puzzle looks like, and how to, come up with a plan to either outright eliminate their emissions or reduce them.
And so how are we using that puzzle with our customers, for instance? Is it a mapping thing or?
It is a mapping thing, and it's also a framework which we use with them to explain, this is why we're doing this, and also to give to them to sort of really understand what their challenges are, and so, putting it in front of them and saying, which one of these puzzle items stands out to you. So it's a methodology, it's a framework, it's an explainer of what we do.
We're going to have to share that information after, because now I'm sure people are like, what is it?
Exactly.
How does that look like? So do you have a concrete example, for instance, on how this has been used? Or
I do. I was working with a major brewery, weirdly enough. When I first started this role, I thought it was in power. I was like, power systems, we'll be doing that. But as part of the role, we've worked with everyone from breweries to transport, through to power itself, through to almost a range of different industries. Weird and sort of wonderful people I get to meet, which is pretty fun. So the example, I was working with a major brewery to put it together. They were using a lot of natural gas, and
they're Australian based.
They are, yeah. Owned by overseas, but Australian based. And we were looking at, using this puzzle and the pieces in the puzzle, we can transition you away from your production process, which is gas, into more of an electrified solution, but then also looking at the entire chain. So their transport, other processes that they're using, which they can, they had a lot of waste that they weren't really doing anything with. So we could
create power from it, I guess,
Yep, or turn that into a product that they could sell to fund more of their climate, target ambitions, that type of thing.
Thanks, Christian, for sharing your journey so far. What's your best memory?
My time in Maryborough was interesting. It's a very interesting town. It's almost like they've built the town around Downer's site, like literally. Like it's the site's in the centre of town, and it's sort of built around it, and everyone in the town knows. It used to actually be called Walker's Engineering, and then Downer took it over, and then that whole town is really proud of what they've done, and I think it is the oldest rail site in Australia. I think.
Wow.
I think it's over 150 years old. So they've got they used to create like warships there in World War II. Just a really fascinating place.
So it's been recycled a few times.
Yeah, a couple of times
to support the local economy and the country, right?
And the people there were pretty amazing as well. Like really, really capable people. They wanted to teach, new people who were coming through the business. I think they had, if I'm getting this right, I think they had There were 4 people there, and between them, I think they had 130 years of experience.
Wow, incredible.
Pretty amazing. So that was, really sort of interesting. Living in a regional area was pretty fun, and so it was good.
It's the true essence of our purpose, enabling communities to thrive, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. I thought that was really interesting, that example around the brewery. Mm-hmm. And the electrification, and other parts of Downer might not have the skill set you have, or energy and utilities have, to have those customer conversations with customers. What would you recommend they do? So thinking about hospitals, schools, universities, where they're looking to remove their gas systems and electrify.
So with that, so we, I think they, not to disagree with you completely, but I think they do have that capability.
Okay.
Because a lot of the people, we like to go in from sort of a ground up approach and talk to the people who are on the ground. You know, they're physically interacting with these assets and they know them so well that when you talk to them, say, oh, you know, I've got this idea to sort of transition away from it, they're going, you know, this will work, but you need to worry about these things, or, you know, this area we'll need to work with. But, you know, if they want us to come do that, they can reach out to us. We're more than happy to help.
Are you the best contact?
Yeah, or my boss, Aaron, he's a good contact as well. Murray Richards, who's my boss's boss, yeah, he's a great dude as well. Yeah, we can come in and sort of do an assessment, look at what it is, and then work with them pretty closely to reduce those emissions. Yeah.
And you're currently leading the pre-FEED study on behalf of the French-Australian Centre for Energy Transition, FACET, for an e-fuels demonstration plant. Could you talk to us about how that program would work?
FACET have given us, or presented us, a pretty unique and complex problem to solve. FACET is a 50-50 joint funded Australian government, French government organisation to accelerate the climate response of both of our countries. And it's sort of, if you go back to, it goes back to COP26. People can look it up. I think it's called the Clydebank Declaration, where they wanted to create green corridors between countries. So they want to create maritime and aviation, what they're calling green corridors between a lot of the countries. And if they're going to be green, they need a sustainable form of fuel to do that.
Aviation fuel.
Correct, aviation and marine. So we have been working with a range of people prior to that, you know, OEMs or research groups who are quite good at that type of thing. And I think they were looking for someone in the Australian market who knew the market, understood the technology, and had the capability to go build it. But also, I think they were looking for a partner who they could trust. That was in country. This is our French sort of partners, and they said, "Would you, if we fund it, would you do it full time?" So we said, "Yes, we'd like to." So we're currently going through and putting that puzzle, I guess, together. Of, you know, how would you, you know, they have the end goal of, we want sustainable aviation fuel in our planes. So we are essentially working back on how would you do that in Australia. So
with the constraint that the country has, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're working with a range of, it's a bit like the United Nations, this one. It's sort of like we're working with the French on one thing, the Japanese, a couple of Japanese companies on another thing, a German group with another technology path. So we're sort of working with sort of everyone, sort of coordinating everyone to go execute that project. So yeah, we're sort of at the lead of it. We're, as part of FACET, the likes of Airbus and a company called CMA CGM, they're kind of a large maritime freight company.
I think they're the largest now in the world.
I believe they are. Yeah. And they own ANL, Australian National Line, is a subsidiary of theirs, and they want that fuel because the reason they want that is because European countries are mandating it now. So it's sort of like, it's not, you can put the fuel in the plane if you like. It's, you're putting that fuel in the plane by 2030. So they're under a bit of pressure. So they're very, very motivated to make that happen. And of course, so are we. So yeah, we're essentially looking at e-fuel, a process called power to liquid So there's sort of like there's two pathways. There's sort of your biofuel, and then there's your e-fuel pathway. Won't get into chemistry or anything, but it has a few advantages, and I think it will fit the bill for what they need. And so we're going to essentially look to construct a demonstration scale plant in Australia to learn how to build it and how to operate it and maintain it.
You're inviting Helene and I to the opening, aren't you?
Of course.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Champagne.
Champagne,
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
So, silly question. Is there any role for artificial intelligence in all of that? Or
Yeah, there is. I think one of the things, and this is sort of where Downer stands out, is so we've proven the capability within the business in various business units to streamline and optimize maintenance extremely effectively. So one of the big things that creates anxiety with a lot of people is, these plants and everything we're doing is a lot of CapEx involved.
Absolutely.
When are we going to get our ROI? So my argument to them is we've had a proven capability to drive OpEx into the earth, using tools like AI or other reliability or availability type, what we call RAMS engineering. We have the ability to do that, to get their ROI back as fast as possible, and to make it as profitable as you can. Because currently, if you think about a lot of fuels out there, aviation fuel normally is about 50 cents a litre US, whereas like a sustainable fuel is like $4.
Yeah.
So it's much more expensive.
Yeah.
So we need to drive that down. And one of the ways of doing that would be, we need to streamline maintenance and streamline the operation so efficiently that we can get those, we can start getting that number down. So I think that's where Downer excels, and I think that's what we can do pretty effectively.
Well, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And look, that podcast is all about culture. How does what you do ties into the Downer difference?
I think probably the understanding what the customer or client needs. In a lot of the cases and a lot of the jobs that we do, they don't know themselves. So, and we might not know fully. So a lot of the way how we work is it's sort of like a journey piece. We're sort of going on this, partnering with them and then figuring it out together, what will work and what won't work, and getting the best outcome in terms of maintaining their ability to generate an income, but also getting their emissions down as low as we can get, and or zero it out completely. So I think that's how a strong tie to that, and then also how we work as a team together. We have to challenge each other quite a lot, So, but we do that in a way that we all have the understanding that we want the best possible outcome, and with that comes challenging everyone's assumptions. But we do it in such a way that everyone's opinion is respected, and we're sort of working together very effectively. So,
to me, what you described in terms of your project and aviation fuel seems really groundbreaking. A lot of the stories that we hear in the media are around electrification of the grid, transition to solar power, wind power, recent news stories about nuclear power as well. Have you enjoyed working on something so different? And even like lithium batteries and lithium, that price has dropped.
Yeah.
So I guess over a period of time, the changes that can take place as you're looking at new energy sources and fuels can really vary. Has this excited you?
Yeah, it's a really exciting space to be in. And yeah, it's sort of the people you meet is sort of is really exciting. Taking Facet as an example, Sort of 1 minute we're working with, researchers who are just right out there. We're actually working with the Commission for Atomic and Alternative Energy in France. They are they're our partner, one of our partners in this, and sort of experiencing a different. They have a different perspective on things. And then next minute we're sort of working with diplomats who are sort of coming at it from like a geopolitical lens, which is just something quite strange for me, but pretty cool to witness. Then we're working with airlines, and then we're sort of working with our equipment and technology providers. Everything from different cultures to just different disciplines of engineering and stuff. So it's so diverse. Every day is different. So it's kind of exciting to work with all these different people and sort of hearing different perspectives. It's really, really fun. Yeah.
Now, you've been at Downer for 6 years. Mm-hmm. Had you ever considered any other occupation?
I'm in these meetings and I'm running these meetings or doing these things, and I often think to myself, sort of like, how did I get here? I sort of just go with it. But I really wouldn't want to do anything else. I don't think. It's sort of just such a unique role and sort of unique space to work in, and it moves so fast. So I don't really have the time to think about like other things. I've had a pretty diverse bunch of careers. So prior to doing engineering, I actually did an arts degree in production. So being in a studio is sort of like coming full circle a little bit, which is pretty fun. I don't know.
But that's okay, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I also think what you're doing is pretty amazing.
It sounds like it's been really rewarding.
And
intellectually satisfying.
Yeah, very, very much. It's sort of the role I'm in. It's sort of like I'm not really an engineer, but I'm doing engineering stuff. I don't fit in with the BD, but I'm doing BD stuff. I'm doing strategic stuff along the sides as well, and then also sort of putting this business case together for Airbus and the like, and CMA is sort of, you sort of have to be quite adaptable. So if you're saying, would you rather do anything else? It's almost like I've got 7 jobs simultaneously, but I'm doing 7 different careers at once. So it's very, very cool place to be in.
So Christian, we've been asking everyone that question. What book and song would you recommend to our listeners? And more importantly, why?
For fiction, I just finished reading a book called 3 Body Problem. They actually made it into a show on Netflix, and it's reasonably accurate. Yeah. Bit of a head spin, but once you get your head around it, it's actually a pretty interesting read. And then non-fiction, I finished a book called Tribe by a bloke named Sebastian Junger. He used to be I think he was a war correspondent for a while, and then he's an anthropologist by discipline, I guess, and then became a journalist. But yeah, he's sort of, in that book, he's sort of exploring how humans are hardwired to be in tribes, and how being, the modern world sort of keeps you a bit isolated, and how that's sort of a clash with how we're sort of genetically programmed. So it was a pretty interesting read. For song,
tell me a French one, because so far nobody picked a French one. Or
well,
you don't have to.
Well, we were on the way here. I was actually listening to Air. Yes. There you
Good
go,
choice.
French one.
Love it.
Yep. So yeah, they're a pretty cool band. And yeah, music is sort of a bit all over the place. But that's sort of things I'm listening to when you're working and things like that. Yeah.
Last question from me. If you would have one message to people who are listening to that episode today, what would that be?
When you look at the landscape, and when you look at the media coverage of the things that are happening in the net zero world, it's pretty easy to get either confused or disillusioned. And I think because we're sort of figuring this out as we go, really, I think what we've lost sight of is that it's natural to feel that way. So I would say the message would be this is a natural thing. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be complex, but ultimately, it's going to we're going to get there eventually. So I try to approach it from like a realistic, optimist kind of way of this is going to suck, but we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and when you're looking at down there and putting things into perspective, it's 30,000 of us. Yeah. So we've got lots of brain and lots of power and intelligence that we can put together to solve our customers' problem.
Yeah. So, I think rely on your colleagues, which I often do. And it's pretty amazing to see, when you just talk to some of the people, like, just by having just a conversation with a lot of the, people, people who've got their boots on the ground or at various parts of the business, when you actually listen to their experience and their capability, it's actually quite amazing. Like, you're sort of like, I had no idea you did that, or they've got, capability, that, amazing experience. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us in the podcast studio today, Christian.
That's okay. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to The Down a Difference on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and be sure to share it with your colleagues.